Today I'm going to show you step by step how to take this $7 1x6 and turn it into your next piece of home decor, gift for a loved one, or maybe even your next side hustle. If you're interested in knowing more, stay tuned to the end and I'll show you exactly how much you might be able to make on one of these boards. Let's jump into it. First, we're going to start by cutting a piece at 16 inches, followed by a piece at 5.5 inches. Now, these don't have to be exact. They can be pretty close. Next, we're going to determine which side we would like to face out. Looking at this, I don't care for all the little speckles and the knots on this side. So this knot doesn't bother me. This little bit of a knot doesn't bother me. And this side's pretty clear. So I'm going to make this my front. And then I will make this the top and this the bottom. All right, so from the bottom, we are going to come up 4.5 inches. Little mark. Take our speed square, run that line all the way across, like so. Figure out which side I would like up and out on this one. We're going to make this side out. This side's just kind of ugly, just with the knot and everything on there. So we'll take this, put this here, so you guys can see it. So I've got this piece lined up on the line. Now I'm going to take this, just put line like that. So now we've got two parallel lines here. So now I'm just going to take this and squiggle this out, just like so. Now what I'm going to do is roughly mark out the center on this so I can kind of use it as a guide. Close counts. It doesn't have to be exact. This is just going to be used as a guide. Back over to the miter saw. We're going to use our depth stop. All miter saws should have one of these depth stops. Just going to twist it all the way down. And we're actually just going to line it up to where the blade stops, where that line that we drew. A little farther. More. Okay. That. Going to want to take a small piece of scrap, clamp it down. We'll take our piece here, and we're just going to take our saw. We're just going to work our way all the way down, create that little dado. All right, now let's give ourselves a little test fit. Slides right in there, a little loose, but that's all right. That's what glue is for. We don't want it too snug anyway. All right, now that we've got our dado cut in there, I am going to make a mark at 1.5 inches. Make a mark at 1.5 inches. Now the line doesn't have to be the whole way down. I'm actually just going to use it as a reference for setting up my router bit. On my little palm router here, I've got it's just a small 45-degree V-bit on here. Basically, I'm just going to use this to create some grooves all the way down, one on each side, and I'll do the same on our smaller piece. So I'm going to use a dab of CA glue and activator so I can put this little guide here, because that's all I'm using this little piece of scrap wood for. It's just going to be a guide. Little activator on the other part here. Get my V-bit lined up roughly over the line. Now we're just going to take this piece, push it all the way against our piece of material that we're wanting to route out, and then just secure it to the bottom of the router. Make sure she's pressed firmly on there. Now, if you don't have CA glue or an activator, you can use double stick tape, or even if you have like a sacrificial router base, you can just screw a piece of scrap straight on there. If you don't have a palm router, you can do this with a table saw. I just advise being very careful when doing so. Or you can just leave this step out. Your piece does not have to have this detail. That is completely up to you. So I'm going to take this, run it all the way down this side, and I'm going to flip it, go all the way down this side, and I'm actually going to do both sides, top and bottom. Now that we've got those grooves routed in there, I'm going to sand these with 120 grit. I am just using the 3M Extract, what is it, Cubitron 2. Not sponsored. Used my own money to purchase these, but I have found that they actually work really, really well. So I am going to get these things sanded down. All right, let's clear out any dust that we don't want. Take our little glue bottle here. Thank you, Rockler, for convincing me every single time that I go into your store to buy something else that I don't need. So thank you, Jim, at the Olathe store. Appreciate you very much for convincing me that I needed this. And I bought it like a sucker. But it's nice, actually. So thank you, Jim, for helping. All right. Anyway, so we've got our glue in there. Now we're just going to try to figure out how to nail this so that way I can actually show you how to do this. Here we go. Make sure that we're square. All right, now we're just going to take our brad nailer. Put the brad nails in. Always keep your hands clear. That will just hold it there until glue dries. Now I decided to go ahead and put in my chamfer bit. I am just going to add a small bevel all the way around these things just to give it a slightly different detail. A little bit of air blow it off. All right, so for the stain, I'm going to be using the Minwax. What is this? Weathered Oak, semi-transparent. I like Minwax. They make pretty good stuff. I've also had good luck with General Finishes. Um, I've used some of their wood dye, which that stuff's really cool. Um, but yeah, again, not sponsored. This is just a product that I like to use. It's reasonably priced and easy to work with. So let's get this thing cleaned up. Let's start with the back. Nobody cares about the back. I'm just using a clean rag. Get it on here evenly. And I'll come back through and remove any excess. Now, you can obviously use anything that you would like, any color, any finish type. It's all a matter of preference. All right, now that this thing is coated nicely, I'm gonna let this stuff soak in for a little bit, and then I'm gonna come back and wipe off the excess. All right, it's been a little while since we applied our stain. We're just gonna come back in and wipe off any extra. Nice, cool color to it. Now, if you were looking to do this as a side hustle, you could really batch these parts out. You could set up stop blocks on the miter saw, or if you're not wanting to use a miter saw, you could use a table saw. Um, yeah, you could really batch these things out. You can pre-finish all your boards and then glue them all. Then chop them up and glue them all together. You could really streamline this process. All right, so we're gonna let this dry for a little while, and then we're gonna come back and get our finish on and get the final reveal. All right, before we get our finish on, we are going to get our hardware put on our back here. This is just a keyhole hardware. If if I were making a bunch of these, I would just get a keyhole bit and just go ahead and route a keyhole slot right in the back of each one of these. It'd make the process so much faster. But since I've only got this one for now, I'm just going to be using that hardware. I think it was like 88 cents or something like that at Menards, so it wasn't very much. So 5.5 inches is our overall width. So we're going to make a mark at 2 3/4. Rough idea on where we need to be here. Sharpie don't work. That's all right. Works good enough. And then to avoid it splitting, we're going to come down from the top just a little bit sure we're square. It's hard to do with gloves on. If I take these gloves off. Make our mark in the middle. These hardware kits come with screws, but I don't like the screws that they come with. They're a little too long, and they don't quite hold the way that I like them. So I've just got some 3/4 number 8 screws. I'm just going to go ahead and get one of them in there. Square it back up. That's good enough. Right. Now for the finish, I'll be using this Watco spray lacquer in a satin finish. Now this is not a finish tutorial, right? This is just what I use. Obviously you're going to use whatever you're most comfortable with. I found this stuff works really well. I use it on all kinds of projects. So that's just what I'm going to use for this one. All right, I'm going to start with the back. Give that just a couple minutes to tack up, then I'll get it flipped over. All right, and we're using these handy little stands. All right, now we're going to let this dry for a little while, and then we'll bring you guys back and I'll show you what this thing actually is. All right, so as promised, those of you who've stuck around to the end, you're interested to know how much you can possibly make off of one of these units, or how much you can actually get out of one of these $7 boards. So I'm gonna have pop a little graphic right over here. We're gonna break down these costs. So the board costs us $6.99. So we're just gonna say costs us $7. We can get 4 of these pieces out of one board. So each one of those pieces is going to be $1.75. Assuming you're going to stain it, the amount of stain, and this is all going to depend on what stain or what brand you go with. I use the 1 quart of Minwax, and you get a ton of square footage, ton of coverage with that 1 quart. It's only going to cost 18 cents per unit. So we'll throw that on there. The finish, so whatever clear coat you're going to end up putting on this, again, it's going to depend on the brand, the material, all of that. The one that I used, I got it through Menards. It's lacquer spray finish, and that costs 61 cents per unit. So if we total that up, it brings us to a total of $2.54. Now, you could argue that, well, you didn't include glue. Sure, you're right. I didn't include glue. It's another one of those insignificant costs. I buy the 1 gallon jug of Titebond 3, so the amount of glue that I'm actually using out of that is very small. If you just wanted to throw a number in there, I would probably say 10 cents is probably all that I'm going to actually use on glue. So we'll just go ahead and round that number up to $2.64. So now the question is, how much can you actually sell these things for? Well, a lot of that is just going to depend on your market. Me, in my market, I know I can get, without the candle, I know I can get $40 for one of these, okay? Now, you might think $40, wow, that's crazy, or, that's expensive, or, hey, that's cheap. Everything is just going to depend on your market. I can't tell you how to price for your market. You're going to have to kind of figure that out. But yeah, $40 for one of those. If you were to sell them $60 for a pair, and then if you wanted to throw in the candles, I don't throw in the candles with mine. That's just another one of those things where it's like, if the candle don't work, now I got to ship them a candle. I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to deal with replacing something that I bought from someone else. So there you have it. So $2.64 and sold for $40. That is a phenomenal profit, right? So you extrapolate that times 4, right? Because you get 4 out of 1 board. So when we do the math, that totals for one $7 board and a few little costs here and there on supplies and other materials, you end up with $149.44 profit. That's phenomenal. That's amazing, right? So the amount of time that it takes you to make one of these, like I said, if you're batching these things out, I bet you could have 4 of these things knocked out in less than an hour. So like me, I'm going to say yes, sign me up for $149 an hour. Yeah, and if you're not saying yes, you're crazy. Thanks again for checking out this video. If you guys found any of this stuff to be interesting or helpful, please smack that like button, leave a comment down below. If you have any questions about any of the process for today, please leave them down below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can. So appreciate you. Have a good day.